guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
UFC 301 live from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Nice to be back in one of the more popular MMA destinations. As expected, ton of Brazilian fighters on the card, right? I'll look at the main card like usual, provide free picks, talk some lines, talk some value, some leans as well, and maybe what to avoid. Big favorites on this main card. Some big favorites. We're going to have to try to be creative and see what we can do to back them if I do like them. SystemSportsCapping.com is the website. Check me out over there. Link.me/system capping for everything system capping. Some system capping news. Some system news, as I like to call it. New video update in the works. I'm going to have a new setup, new office in the next month or two. So look out for that. Definitely before the NFL season. So look out for that. New camera setup, new office setup, and maybe new mic as well. I think the mic's fine here, but always looking to improve. As you guys should know by now, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere you get podcasts. Thanks for everyone that does support and does listen over there. 16-0 UFC pay-per-view run is on the line for myself and clients. Second highest streak in the UFC since documenting my bets. What, about 5 years ago now? 4 or 5 years ago? Average line is around plus money, guys. Right? These aren't minus 250 bets straight up. Right? If I do like favorites, I always parlay them together. 2-fight parlays, I hit those at a high rate, 66, 67% right now, over a year with 2-fight parlays. And that's a really great way to beat the sports books. The only thing I suggest ever in the parlay system is 2-fight or team parlays. When you like 2 favorites, improve that price, right? And I count that as one bet, right? So if I do parlay at minus 250 and a minus 200 together, right, you're still getting plus money. And I count that as one bet, not 2 if both win. Keep that in mind, guys. You'll see guys out there counting, minus 400 bets as a winner. Is it really a minus 400 bet? If you parlay with a minus 200, a minus 150 to get that plus money, or even around even money, minus 110, minus 120. If you really like the 2 guys and you want to bet them and not force an outcome, that's a great way to beat the sports books long term. I'm able to hit those at a high percentage. UFC Vegas 91 recap. Let's do a recap here. 2-1 for clients. Missed out on a 2-fight parlay with Span. Span had the great game plan going into round 1. Got the fight down to the ground. Almost got the submission multiple times. I thought that was going to be his path to get the submission. It was there. Just wasn't able to get that choke completed. Very close, very close. And then what happened? He turned into a bar fight. And that was, I mentioned in the write-up, I even mentioned it on the video last week. If it gets into a bar fight, it's 50-50 coin flip. Let's not make it a 50-50 fight. And let's get the fight down to the ground where he had a clear advantage. Great job round 1. Round 2, he forgot. He forgot what to do in round 2. And then we saw what happened, right? Saw what happened there. We hit a nice value bet. Mistake by the books. Caught them there. Plus 110 for over an Nanama Pierce fight. Over 2.5 rounds. I had that price before the fight. Minus 120. So good value there. We were able to hit on that. At no point in this fight was the fight going to be stopped. It was an easy 2.5 rounds. Good there. Impressive finish from Perez in the main event. I stayed off that fight. I didn't think there was enough value there with Perez, but obviously he proved that. I stayed away. If you did back Perez at the plus money, I did mention it. A little value there, Perez. I stayed away from the fight for clients. I didn't really like a side. I didn't like the fight altogether. Let's do some updates here. 16-0 pay-per-view run, like I mentioned. 26-9 all cards, guys. Average line plus money for both of those runs. 67% 2-fight parlays, 2023-2024. Over 75 units long term. PGA, a couple down weeks in the PGA with no profit. Looking to get back on track this week with the CJ Cup. 4 outrights last 8 weeks. 66% matchups 2024. Slightly down from the... obviously, when you're in the 70%, guys, you're not going to stay there. Right? It's about not going on too much of a losing streak and then getting that back. Right? So we're going to get that back here in the matchup department. 26 and 10. 73% free bets, guys. That's over a year and 5 months. 5-1 NBA playoffs. No profit in the NHL as of right now in the playoffs. Let's get right into it. Shop around for best prices. Have access to multiple sports books to get the best price out there. I like to call myself somewhat of an expert on the sports books, the lines. You know, I write sports books reviews for North American sports books for a large platform. And they vary so much, guys. So much. I release some of my reviews, so definitely check them out when I do. I'll put it on Twitter, Instagram. They vary so much. Especially in the UFC market, some books don't have available props, available round bets. Have access to multiple sports books to beat them long term and get the best price out there, get the best return on your money. Let's get into the main event here, guys. Let's get into the main event, and it's Pantoja minus 188 versus Usyk plus 162. This is not a main event I could have guessed in a million years, guys. Especially for a big pay-per-view main event in Brazil, right? Sure, it could be an entertaining fight and somewhat competitive. You know, this is just a huge, fast rise for Usyk. Only 3 fights in the UFC. 13 in his MMA career, and now he's going up against a veteran and champion in Pantoja in Brazil. You know, and the wins, very low-level guys. Schnell, maybe the most chinny guy in the UFC. Costa and Dvorak, mid to low-tier guys in this division. It's just a huge step up for him. And I expect it to be a little too soon. You know, is he coming off a nice KO versus Schnell? Sure. It was a very nice finish. Again, like I mentioned, very chinny Schnell. I'm not overly thrilled about that win. This has to be one of the biggest step-ups in competition to a title shot and in the quickest time ever. Right? 3 fights, title shot. 3 mid-tier to low-tier wins. And the step-up from his competition to Pantoja is huge. And, you know, flyweight's just not deep. Flyweight is not deep at all. One of the least deep divisions. So that's why he's getting that. And that's why a guy like Perez, who got a win, but prior to that, he's just losing fights, he could get a title shot soon, right? One more win for Perez, he's getting a title shot. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how the depth in the flyweight division, it is not great. You know, if we look at the stats here and really dig in, volume should be similar. Both guys are just under 5 significant strikes per minute. Both guys, good grapplers. But I have to look at Pantoja as the better grappler and as a better wrestler. Right? That's where I think he can take advantage here, maybe get this fight down to the ground. We know Pantoja is not the greatest striker in the world. And he's going to want to get fights down to the ground. I think that's where he has the clear advantage. Usyk, pretty good striker. Maybe even lean Usyk as the better striker here. Right? Usyk, I do believe, is well-rounded and doesn't really get into trouble anywhere, but he's just not really great anywhere, in my opinion. You know, Usyk hasn't lost a fight since 2018. I got to give him that. Just 3-0 in the UFC. And I do like the guy. Like I mentioned, I do think he's well-rounded. Maybe not great anywhere, but well-rounded. And he's durable. He can take a shot. I'd be surprised if, like, Pantoja knocks him out. Would I be surprised if Pantoja submits him? That's where I think Pantoja could finish the fight, is in the submission. Possible ground and pound. I don't think Usyk will lay there. I think he'll be able to get up. But the submission is live, even though I do think Usyk is a good grappler. But the path for Pantoja is to get this fight down to the ground. That's where I think he can take advantage instead of it just being a close fight on the feet. This will be obviously Usyk's best grappler he's fought. It's not even close. Right? The guys he was fighting were all strikers. So it's going to be a very different level of fighter that he's seeing here in Pantoja. Right? Pantoja fighting at home, advantage there. I have Pantoja probably winning this fight 8 out of 10 times. Right, so I have Usyk maybe winning this fight around 20-25%. Not totally writing him off here. It's just tall hill to climb. I haven't seen enough from Usyk against high-level competition for me to back him here at not a great price, let's be honest. Right, if we're going to talk price here, this price is not great on Usyk as an underdog. Right, I think there's actually, when I first did this line myself, again, I do all my own lines before looking at the lines. I had Pantoja minus 220, 250, and we're getting 188 here. So I actually think there's value here on Pantoja. So I would only look Pantoja's way. Outcome is kind of tough. It's tough, the outcome, guys. It could go 5. We never seen Usyk in a 5-round fight. Keep that in mind. I don't think he has a cardio issue, but if it does get to the championship rounds, how does he look? We don't know. Question marks. So if you want to improve that price, you can maybe look at Pantoja to finish the fight or fight not to go the distance, but not confident there. More of a 60-40 type thing, and I'm not fairly confident that it finishes. But if I had to try to improve the price, and you don't really, it's not a terrible price at 188. Do I like betting fights minus 188 straight up? You'll usually never find me doing that. But in spots where I don't love an outcome, definitely a good 2-5 parlay piece this weekend. Again, Usyk, I'm giving him a 20-25% chance to win this fight. I'm not totally writing him off here. I just haven't seen it yet. He could be the new guy in the flyweight division. Is Pantoja going to take this fight lightly? Is there going to be a few extra distractions fighting at home in Brazil? And is Usyk just coming in here as comfortable as an underdog, nothing to lose? Possible. That's why I'm not all in on Pantoja. That's why this cannot be a best bet for me and my clients on Pantoja, even though I do like Pantoja to win this fight. A few concerns that I just mentioned here were and pass and where Pantoja could lose this fight. So play is going to be Pantoja. Could make my client card as well. But I'm not totally writing off Usyk here. Co-main, Martinez, minus 150 versus Aldo, plus 130. Aldo's coming off a retirement. Right? He's coming off retirement, guys, to return for this big card in Brazil. A tense stare down earlier in the week between these two. Martinez really improved from fight to fight. Really like watching Martinez strike. Very high-level striking, excellent leg kicks, excellent kicking. Great on the feet. Does have a couple good wins too, right? He knocked off the big prospect rising in Yanis. Nurmagomedov he beat. Cub Swanson, so some good names there. It's not like this is a big jump up in class to Aldo. Historically, yes. Right? Aldo's one of the best fighters ever, but at this level now, Aldo, he's not the same. Right? Aldo's coming off that loss to Murad, but prior to that, 3 wins in a row versus good guys like Rob Font, good striker. Vera, good striker. Munoz, good striker. Martinez, good striker, right? So you can see, I do think Aldo struggles against guys that can grapple, wrestle, right? But if it's a striking battle, almost of a flip of a coin here. The concern, he hasn't fought for 2 years. Almost 2 years. Last fight was in August 2022. So keep that in mind. He has been staying active, training. I think he's been doing some grappling tournaments as well. So he is staying active, and he's going to come into this fight in good shape. It's in Brazil, guys. And it's a very winnable fight for Aldo. Very winnable fight. If this is just a kickboxing fight, though, I would favor Martinez, maybe slightly edging it out in volume. However, if it's close, if this fight is close on the judges' scorecards, who are they going to give it to? Martinez, the U.S. fighter, or Aldo, the legend in Brazil? Right? They're going to give it to Aldo. So if it's a close 3-round fight, decision, Aldo wins, in my opinion. Martinez is going to have to try to look for a stoppage. 2 of his last 3 fights have been stoppages, guys, and guess what? By leg kicks. You can't say that much. You probably can never say that. There are guys that got leg kick stoppages before, of course, but 2 in 3 fights, I doubt it. Aldo's going to know this. I don't see Aldo getting stopped by leg kicks. So that would be a some low odds in my opinion. But Martinez, like I said, very good kickboxer, striker. If it's 3 rounds, goes to decision, I probably would take Martinez if it wasn't in Brazil. Keep that in mind. That Brazil thing is huge here, right? You can see the change of guard too, right? Martinez coming up, the new prospect. Although the older fighter may not have it anymore, it's possible. It's possible, right? And that long layoff, is a bit concerning here. I'm leaning Martinez. This is not going to make my client card. I'm not confident on it. I have it like a 60-40 type a fight here, maybe even a 50-50. One thing worth mentioning too, right? This is a big spot for Martinez. I feel like Martinez fights usually in the Apex and no big crowds, and now he's going to Brazil. He is going to be getting harassed like no other this week. Aldo is like a legend over in Brazil. They're going to do whatever they can to take Martinez off his game plan, maybe make him not sleep properly. Trust me, guys. He is in for a tough week, Martinez. How is he going to adapt? He's never been in something like this. Keep that in mind. I think that's very important here. Right? And that's why I can't bet Martinez for myself or clients. My favorite play probably is the over 2.5 rounds. Could make my client card. I may have to look that way if I can get a good price on it. I'll wait till Friday to get the final price. Exciting fight, though. Now we're getting into some big favorites, guys. We're going to see how we can attack these lines. Remember, I come from a line standpoint. I talked about the sports books. I talk about the value, not just, oh yeah, this guy's going to win a minus 600. Let's get into more depth, right? Let's not just say Petrino's going to win at minus 600. He should win at minus 600, but let's talk about value. And should he be minus 600? He definitely should not. I'll tell you why. First of all, this is a huge step up for Petrino. He's been beating guys like, Prachnio, Bukauskas, Pedro, right? We all know Anthony Smith. Been there, done that. One of the best resumes out there. Now, of course, Smith is older. Some say washed up and should not be fighting anymore. 1-3 in his last 4 fights. Chin may not be there anymore. Still good grappler. Good jab if he wants to use it correctly. And I think his path would be to try to keep this fight standing and actually maybe sneak out a decision win. So value at Smith at plus 400. You can shop around, get plus 450 if you do like him here. But am I going to bet Anthony Smith at this point of his career over a guy I like? I like Petrino, but there are concerns with Petrino. Very low volume, under 3 significant strikes per minute. And his cardio. His cardio looks suspect at times. Now, Petrino could easily chin check Anthony Smith and hurt him. Very easy. Right? Or he could use his strength and just get this fight down to the ground. I think that's actually where he has the clear advantage. If this fight stays on the feet for 3 rounds, it's going to be a nail biter close, unless Petrino catches him with a big shot. But Anthony Smith is a veteran guy. Right? I think he could avoid the big shot for the most part. But hey, I had this price at like minus 300 for Petrino. I'm seeing minus 600. I get it. Yes, Petrino should win this fight, but nothing's warranted for him to be this highly priced. I get he's fighting in front of in Brazil, but Smith can go on the road and play spoiler. I'm just not sold on this price. This is not a bet on Anthony Smith. This is a bet on the pricing. And this should not be minus 600 in my eyes. Too many concerns with Petrino. He hasn't shown me he can get a good win yet, really. Right, against a really good fighter. I just can't back him at this price. Even though, gun to my head, who's going to win this fight, not looking at pricing or lines? Yeah, Petrino. I think fighting in Brazil should help him. Maybe it doesn't help everybody. I can't read. It's very difficult to read minds or difficult to confirm will fighting at home be a good thing or a negative. Maybe the pressure gets to him. That you can't tell. That's one thing that's tough. For most people, it does help them, though, fighting in Brazil. Fighting in your hometown, right? It should help the person. I know Smith is not going to bother him fighting on the road. That I know 100%. But again, at this point of his career, it's hard to back Yeah, plus 450, plus 400. If there's a plus 500 out there, you guys bet that. I'm not going to call you crazy because I think there's value there on the line. But it would have to be, my suggestion is a very smaller unit if you're going to take a shot there. I like Petrino, though. I like his skill set. I do think he has some flaws, like I mentioned, with the cardio needs to be better. His volume needs to be better. Problem is, where Smith wins this fight, I only could see it. There's actually two ways, actually. Sneaks out a decision. Again, it's in Brazil. They may look Petrino's way if it's a close fight. Or possibly catching him in a sneaky submission. Because if Petrino gets his fight down to the ground, it's possible Smith can catch him in something. Again, I'm just giving you odds, right? Again, if these guys fought 10 times, yeah, Petrino probably wins 8. Maybe 9, right, of the time. But it's not warranting the price for me, is what I'm trying to say here. So, value here with Smith. If you bet it for a small unit, not going to call you crazy. Petrino should win this fight, though. Tough to call an outcome. Very tough to call an outcome here. This is not going to get my clients' money or my money. I'm staying away from this one. Pereira minus 600 versus Pretoria plus 450. Another big favorite here, guys. And one I actually agree with more. Do I agree with 600? No. But easy 4-1 favorite here. 5-1 favorite for Pereira in my eyes. You know, Pretoria, a lot of disadvantages here for him in this fight. One, short notice. He's going to have weight cut issues. He's fought at 205 before. He struggled before to make weight at 185. Watch the weigh-ins on this one before you bet it. And the matchup just not great for him, right? Pereira has improved every fight. Love what I saw from him. Love what I see from the guy. I wouldn't be surprised. I would love to see Pereira just fight higher competition, though, right? 7-fight win streak and hasn't lost since early 2020. I think there's a mismatch here. Pereira should win. I probably Pereira winning this fight 9 out of 10 times, right? Maybe Pretoria catches him one time in a fight. But out of the 3 big favorites here, I like Pereira the most. Next big favorite we'll talk about, it's the opening fight, which would be my second favorite big fight. But Pereira just has the advantage everywhere. I think his clear advantage would be just take this fight down to the ground, maybe find a ground and pound or submission. Right, his opponent, 57% takedown defense. Also, he's been knocked out 4 times. There's just nothing where I see Pereira losing this fight. And he actually embraces fighting in Brazil. He'll embrace the crowd here. So, Pereira is going to have to be the bet here. There's not much to talk about here, right? I don't have to talk to you about this fight for 5 minutes. It's fairly straightforward. Pereira's the play. Again, you can't bet it at minus 600. Try to improve it with a finish price. But you're still going to be paying in the minus monies for this fight to be finished. So, good 2-fight parlay piece this weekend. Pereira should get it done. Probably one of my favorite plays on the card. Borrelio minus 550 versus Craig plus 400. Similar price here, guys. Another big favorite to open up the main card, just like the last fight I talked about. I had this line at maybe minus 400. So I do agree with the price. I'm high on Borrelio. I like him a lot. And it's just not a good matchup for Craig. What does Craig look for? Submissions. Borrello, this might be his best grappler he's fought. Borrello, very high-level black belt, guys. Craig is not catching him in a submission. I would be stunned if he catches him in a submission. All right, Borrello's going to even have a striking advantage here, even though that's not his bread and butter. He's a good striker. Craig's path is only to catch him in a submission. Right, that's his only path, and it's just not a good matchup to do that. Borrello, a younger fighter, I'm very high on him. I think he's going to be the next possibly big thing in coming out of Brazil. There's always so many guys, though, right? There's 3 on this card. Right? Pereira, I'm not going to say he's a younger fighter now, but Petrino could get that as well, right? Terrible matchup. Terrible matchup for Craig. You want to improve this price? You can look at the finish. Even though Borrello has fought some decisions. 3 times out of his 5 fights have gone decision. Keep that in mind. If I had to bet it, would be Borrello by finish to improve the price. Right? It could be like a ground and pound style finish. Right? He gets the fight down to the ground, just ground and pounds him because Craig can't get up. That's very possible. Or Borrello catch him on the feet. We know Craig's not, his chin's not great. We know that. So that could be a path as well. But I just can't get to Craig as an underdog here, even though it's a juicy price. I would actually bet Smith at the plus 400 out of any underdog. If you want an underdog and take a shot, small unit, look at Smith. Again, I don't like backing Smith, but I'm just saying if any of these underdogs come through, I think Smith has the best chance. Right? Craig wins this 5 to 8% of the time. Right? The one time is because he catches him in a submission. And even if I'm looking, can he win by decision? I don't see it because I can just see Burrell getting this fight down to the ground. Right? And outstriking him. So Craig's only path, in a lot of his fights, his only path is to win by submission. I think Craig's not going to be able to out-wrestle Burrell and get him down to the ground. So the only way Craig, I think, could submit Burrell is when Burrell's on top. And it's just low odds because Burrell's a very high-level black belt guy. So play Burrell, try to get him in your lineup somehow. He is going to win this fight. How is he going to win it? Not always easy to call in this fight. I would say he wins it by finish. Client card will be available, guys, after weigh-ins. Look out for that. We're going to see if we can continue this perfect streak. Got to get a little creative this week. But that's what I'm good at doing. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Enjoy this card.